Hello everyone, this is Pedro from Pythonlist with one more video. Today's gonna be a quick one. I'm just gonna teach you how to connect your VS Code to your Databricks using a Databricks extension. It's pretty easy. And then I'm just gonna go through the steps. The two prerequisites here obviously is VS Code installed on your machine. My setup here is a Windows machine running WSL. And then you also need to have a Databricks workspace where you have privilege to create a cluster. And that's pretty much it. Let's get started. So I have my terminal here. I'm in my code directory. So my first step would be create a folder with like make a dir. And then I'm just gonna call Databricks VS Code. And then cd to that folder. And then obviously I'm just gonna open code space dot to open my VS Code. And here I have a directory with nothing, so just empty. So the first step is to look for extension. And the one that I need to install is Databricks. Here, just click install. Now that's installed, you can go to your Databricks workspace. Once in your Databricks workspace, you need to create a token. Click here, click in user settings, developer, access token, manage, generate token, or call it VS Code. And it's just gonna last for 1 day. And I'm just gonna generate, and then I'm gonna delete it after I finish the video, so don't try to use it. And then you just can paste somewhere that is safe. All right. Once you've done that, the next step, you have to create a file with the name, exact this name here, .databricks cfg. It needs to be on your home directory. So going back to my terminal here, I'm gonna go and use Vim like a text editor. I can do that in VS Code. Let me just do code. So it needs to be on my home directory, which is that. And then the name of the file, I'm just gonna copy exactly because I don't want to make a mistake. And then if I do that, I'm just open that file in my Databricks. So, and then you have to put values for host token and cluster ID. So the token is that value that we just created. And then the host and the cluster ID, I have a link that here that explains, which is your host is that number here up to here. So in my case, is which one? Yeah, it's that the number here from HTTP up to the .NET without the /. So that's the one. And the cluster, I need to create a cluster. So I'm just gonna put compute, create compute. I'm just gonna put the defaults here, then create compute. But once you create the compute, the cluster ID is that number here after the word cluster / is that number here. It's something that looks like this, about the same. So I'm just gonna wait the cluster to start. And then once it's started, I'm gonna go back and put the cluster name, which is that number here. All right, once I've got that, I can close this file. And then I go to my extension here. I can either configure Databricks, clicking here, or I can do a Control Shift P, and then put Databricks configure. So I'm gonna do like use that one here. And then it automatically read that file on my home that I just saved. Can you see that the profile name is default? So click here. And then I'm just gonna authenticate using default profile. And that's it. I'm connected. I have access to my cluster. I don't have anyone attached. I click here on that cog, and that's the one that's being started. So let's see if the cluster is already started. No, it's still starting. Let's wait maybe a couple minutes, and then when it's started, I can run the code. So in the meanwhile, I'm just gonna create a new file, and then for the lack of a better name, I'm just gonna call it sample, and then .py, and then I'm just gonna go to Databricks. You can do any Spark code. I'm just gonna use that simple here, and then paste. So it's pretty much create a structure, schema, a Spark session first, and then the schema, get some data, create a data frame, and then show the results. All right, the cluster started. Now, if I go back to my VS Code on Databricks, it should show my cluster here as a green triangle, like a play button. And then with that, I can go here to run my cluster. I'd say upload and run file on Databricks. And that's it. It's gonna create the execution context on the cluster. This is kind of the Spark logs. Now it's running the code. And there we go. It's done. So that was a simple one. So yeah, and then you can see here. So the sample file here is on my Databricks. Beautiful. Create that configuration file, create the token, update the configuration file with the host and the class ID, submit the file, and it's run. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please put on the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and click the bell, that really helps. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.